But now at the end of Isurei Be'ah, he gives you the solution. How do you overcome it? וכן ינהג להתרחק מן השחוק ומן השכרות ומדברי האגבים שאלו גורמים גדולים והם מעלות של עריות ולא ישב בלא אישה שמנהג זה גורם לטהרה יתרה גדולה מכל זאת אמרו יפנה עצמו מחשבתו לדברי תורה וירחיב דעתו בחוכמה שאין מחשבת עריות מתגברת אלא בלב פנוי מן החוכמה ובחוכמה היא אומר איילת האהבים ויעלת חן תדע ירבוך בכל עת באהבתה תשגה תמיד. Similarly, a person should distance themselves from levity, intoxication, and flirtation. Translation is that he should distance themselves from things that are triggers. You can't be next to your ex-boyfriend. You can't be next to your ex-girlfriend that's not allowed to you. You can't be next to things that trigger you. If you are a former drug addict, you're not going to hang out with a bunch of guys that are drug addicts. If you're a former alcoholic, you're not going to go to a party that's going to serve alcohol. If you have homosexuality problems, you can't go, to nightclubs or places where you used to go where there's a bunch of homosexuals or even hang out with those people. You can't stay friends with your ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend. It's the end. It's either Hashem or Gehinnom. Choose. So, first and foremost, he tells you stay away from the triggers. Stay away from tzchok, meaning joking around. Why? Joking around leads to promiscuity. Stay away from flirtations. Flirtation leads to promiscuity. For they are great precipitators and steps leading to forbidden relations. A man should not live without a wife, for having a wife leads to great purity. So first and foremost, he tells you, listen, you need to get married. You can't say, no, let me get over this problem, be by myself for 5-10 years, and then I'll find a wife. No, my friend. You're not going to get over all this problem by yourself. You need both physical and emotional support. You have to do everything you can to make your neshama and body holy. One of the ways you make your neshama and body holy is learning Torah. Another way is actually being with your wife. In Judaism, unlike Christianity, it's actually considered holy to be with your wife in a permissible way. Our sages gave even greater advice, saying in Gemara Masejet Kiddushin, page 30b, a person should always turn himself and his thoughts to the words of the Torah and expand his knowledge and wisdom. For the thoughts of forbidden relations grow strong solely in the heart, which is empty of wisdom. And in King Solomon's words in Proverbs 5:19, it's written, it is a beloved hind, arousing favor. Her breast will satisfy you at all times. You shall be obsessed with her love. Blessed be God who grants assistance. So here, obviously it's a little difficult to understand the reading literally, right, in a different language than we do. But point being is that he's telling you in a simple way is that the only way that you can actually overcome this desire is if you instill your mind with divrei chokhmah. You instill your mind with wisdom. What is wisdom? We learn from our sages, wisdom is Torah. Why? Because the only minds that look for things that are not allowed are empty minds. If your mind is bored, you're looking for something to do. Who's promiscuous? Someone that's bored.
That's right.
Who is someone that's constantly, looking for more action? Who's an action junkie? Someone that's bored with their life, mentally bored. He says, when you actually fulfill the Torah, learn the Torah, instill it in your life, you can never be bored. If you're just learning Torah like it's a math book, like it's a history book, it's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to do anything for you. Why? Because you're learning about Moshe Rabbeinu, just like Hashem and Hashem, you learn about Harry Potter. Like a story. But if you're learning Torah as if you're reading an instruction set. A few days ago I had to build my daughter a little new bicycle that my brother and his wife bought her for her birthday. And there was, 10, 15 steps. Now, if I, instead of going to step 1, I went from step 1 to step 7, would the bike be safe to ride? Probably not, right?
No.
Because every single step counts.
Sure.
Same thing here. Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa already told us what the steps are. 2 weeks ago he told us, first and foremost, know that the foundation of Torah must be Yirat Shamayim. That's step number 1. 2, you're learning Torah to fulfill it. Not to just be theoretical. Oh, this is nice, that's nice, but maybe he meant this, but maybe he meant that. Great, either way you got to keep Shabbat. Yeah, but maybe he meant something else. Doesn't make a difference. What it says, you have to keep Shabbat. Yeah, but maybe we should wait until we understand the entire Torah before we fulfill it. No. You have to do, and then. You have to listen and then do. You have to do, then listen. Like Am Yisrael. So, Rabbi Hanan ben Doza told you, Yirat Shamayim, foundation. Do what you're learning. Make sure that you listen to the halakha of the Rambam, and he says that in order for you to actually instill this, in order for you to overcome this desire, you have to work on your character traits. There's only one way to work on your character traits in an effective way. By challenging yourself to fulfill the will of Hashem. Doing things that are not easy. Doing things that are more difficult. So when I tell people, listen, that have, let's say, for example, somebody has a problem with wasting seed. Unfortunately, many men have this problem, young and old, they have a problem with wasting seed. So I asked them, why was Rabbi Yehuda Nasi called Rabbi Kadosh? Why? Why was Yosef a tzaddik, one of the 12 tribes, the only one that was called Yosef a tzaddik? Why wasn't Yehuda called Yehuda a tzaddik? Or Naphtali a tzaddik? Or Dan a tzaddik? Why was Yosef called a tzaddik? Because Yosef didn't waste seed. Why was Rabbi Yehuda Nasi called Rabbi Yehuda Nasi Rabbi Kadosh? Why wasn't Rabbi Akiva called Rabbi Kadosh? Why wasn't Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai called Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Akadosh? Why was Rebbe called Akadosh? Because Rebbe protected his brit to such an extent that his entire life he never looked below his waist belt. His entire life he never looked there. We think it's normal to look at ourselves. Sometimes you stand in front of a mirror thinking, oh, you admire the creation. Little kids love to stand naked in front of a mirror. Adults stay the same. You look at yourself. But you want to be holy? You can't look at yourself. Why? Leads you to sin. So you ask yourself, how did he go to the bathroom? You go to the bathroom. You don't need to look to go to the bathroom. You know where it is. But not only did he do that, he never touched it either. He would do it in a certain way. He would have his pants in a certain way where he would never need to touch himself, ever. Why? Chas v'shalom, he would sin. That's Kadosh. Now, we're not at the level of Rebbe Kadosh, but there's certain things you can do. You're not completely incapable. You don't have to look at it. You don't have to touch it. There's plenty of things you can do. It takes some getting used to, but you can do it. Depends if you want to be kadosh or not. You don't want to be kadosh, disregard the entire lecture. You don't want Gan Eden, don't attend anymore. But you want to be holy, you want Gan Eden, you want Olam Haba, you have to try at least to be kadosh. And it doesn't matter where you stand. Doesn't matter whether it's a desire that's a sexual desire for the same sex or the opposite sex. The point is, it's the same map. Both of you need to try to be holy and as holy as you can possibly be. Because that's the only way you can get yourself from where you are to where you're trying to be. So first and foremost, protect yourself physically. Seeing, touching, and so on. Second of all, never have an empty mind. Never get to a point where you haven't learned Torah for a day. Because if you stop learning Torah for a day, immediately creates a blind spot. Immediately it creates an opening in your mind for what? For all the garbage that's out there to come in. Because everything that comes in, something has to leave. So if you're not bringing in Torah, something else has to be coming in. Which leads to the Torah leaving. You are little by little creating an empty spot. You're little by little filling this void with garbage, with manure. With spiritual manure, and this is what leads people to sexual sins. It's not a great mystery. So, the instructions are very simple. Protect yourself physically. Protect yourself spiritually. Learn Torah. But the last part that he tells us here, Rabbi Chana ben Dosa, is know this. If you do the will of Hashem, the world around you will smile at you. Because Hashem will instill chen in you where the world around you would want to be like you. All the people that told you, hey, you're crazy doing tshuva, you're too fanatic, you're too this, you're too that, when one of these people loses money, loses health, has problems, they're going to come to you for a blessing. They're not going to come to the guys they met at the club for a blessing. They're not going to come to the woman that's walking around half naked asking her to pray for them. They're not. When people have problems, they go to holy people. Even if they're idol worshippers, they go find holy people. Everyone knows it's very easy to identify the holy person. Why? The holy person looks different than everybody else. He operates on a different tune. He doesn't care about this world. He cares about him. That's his compass. So, if you take all of these things into account, you realize that כל אדם שיש בו יראת שמיים, דבריו נשמעים. שנאמר, סוף דבר הכל נשמע ואת האלוקים ירא. Every person that has yirat shamayim, the things that come out of his mouth will be fulfilled. This can mean a couple of things. Number one, it can mean if you're teaching, if you're a rabbi, you don't need to try to please the crowd by telling them things that are against the Torah. If you have yirat shamayim, they're going to take what you say. They're going to take what you say. They're going to believe you. They're going to follow it, even though if it's difficult, because they know it's coming from the heart. But aside from that, it could also mean that everything that's he says is heard also in Shamayim. You pray because you have problems, the door is wide open. Sicknesses, money issues, anything and everything. You do what Hashem says, you'll have Yirat Shamayim. You have Yirat Shamayim, your prayers will be answered. No Yirat Shamayim, 50-50 chance. Here is a guaranteed way to get your prayers answered. Have Yirat Shamayim. So, this is a very, very simple thing to say, difficult thing to do. But again, at the very least, whoever has a serious problem, keep it at home. Don't tell the world that you have this problem, because you can see that even through this problem, Hashem is running the world and He is telling you it is a problem. And I'll explain to you guys how. Rabbi Israel Misalant said that in his time, almost 200 years ago, there were more doctors than there were sicknesses. Meaning there's so many doctors, professional doctors, there's no shortage of them. But he said, but the only thing that we really have as a sickness is a spiritual sickness. And for that, there's no doctors. There's too much sickness, spiritual sickness, but there's no doctors. Why? Because most people don't know that they're sick. Today, people that are promiscuous, either to the same sex or opposite sex, they don't think they're sick. They're actually celebrating it. There are some rabbis that are helping them celebrate it, saying, no, we should welcome them. What welcome them? They're destroying their own olam haba. It's not about not liking them. The fact that you tell them that what they're doing is wrong is showing you do like them. If you tell somebody to move out of the train tracks, even though he's going to be annoyed that he has to move, he's still going to say, oh, you like me because you told me not to kill myself. You saved my life. So even though it hurts to change, that's the best example of how you like somebody. But for anyone who needs spiritual proof, aside from everything we've talked about for however long we've been going, that Hashem is watching, and Hashem is acting, and He's giving signs that are in plain sight. In plain sight. That people just don't want to pay attention to. You know, sometimes you have the entire treasure is in the middle of the town, but nobody sees it. The sign for the gay pride that they took upon themselves is the rainbow. Now, any one of them that would study Torah just for a few hours, they would get to Parashat Noach. In Parashat Noach, Hashem destroyed the world. Why did Hashem destroy the world? He destroyed the world because we were committing non-stop sex crimes. We're wasting seed, which He considers 100% murder, which is the reason why He made it the first mitzvah, other than don't worship another God, don't idol worship. The very following mitzvah was that He gave the 7 Noahide laws was do not murder, which is also relevant to not wasting seed. Ashofech dam ba'adam, dam ha'adam ba'adam, damo yishafech. He says the one who spills blood of a man within a man, his own blood will be spilled. Here he's talking about wasting seed. But aside from that, he says that the creation went against its creator and itself by being with different species or the same gender. So men with men, women with women, lions with zebras, zebras with kangaroos. The whole world went and was infected and infested by this bestiality, homosexuality, and things that are the opposite of the creation. Hashem said, I must destroy it. There's no hope for it. After He destroyed the world, there was only a few people left. Noach, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives, and also Og Melech HaBashan, Og the giant. and the animals. Now after Noach came out, saw the whole world's destroyed, it's horrible, Hashem said, "Is a sign I'm going to give that I'm not going to destroy the world again. I'm going to put this rainbow. This rainbow is the sign of the covenant between you and I. That I'm not going to destroy the world. So every time you see that there is a rainbow, that is because I remember the deal we had. But Chazal says, from here we learn we're not allowed to point and look at the rainbow when it goes in the sky. Say, oh, look at the rainbow. Why are we not allowed to look at the rainbow more than just once after we make the blessing and that's it? We can't point, tell people to look at it. Can't say, hey, look at the rainbow, it's so pretty. Make a whole room full of rainbows. Why? Why are we not allowed? Hashem said it's a covenant. Shabbat's a covenant. Tefillin's a covenant. Brit Milah is a covenant. Why can't we look and celebrate this rainbow? Why isn't all of our Sidurim full of rainbows? Because Hashem told us this rainbow is a covenant between me and Noach that I'm not going to destroy the world. Meaning that if I didn't have this covenant, every time you see a rainbow, I want to destroy the world. Every time you see a rainbow, it's only because I'm reminding myself of the deal I had with Noach. Not to destroy the world, but if I didn't have the deal, you have all gotten to a level of sin so great that I want to destroy the world. But I'm not, because of Noach, from 5,000 years ago. Why did he destroy the world? Sex crimes. So these homosexual idiots that are celebrating their war against Hashem, they're using the rainbow as a sign, now realizing it's a sign against them. He destroyed the world because of actions like that. He destroyed the world because of foolishness like that. That rainbow should be like the kryptonite to gay people. Because it's a sign that he wants to destroy the world. Why? Because of you. Not because of the tzaddik that's learning Gemara at 1 o'clock in the morning. Not because of the woman that's preparing for Shabbat, working overnight, just to make sure our kids have something to eat. Not because of the righteous Gentile that's just trying to learn the 7 mitzvot bnei Noach. How could I help Am Yisrael? No, not because of them. He wants to destroy the world because of you. Because you are not only disclosing to the world what happens in closed bedrooms, which is an immodest act to begin with, but you're publicizing your war against Hashem. The last one that publicized his war against Hashem was Nebuchadnezzar. He wanted to go to war against Hashem. So Hashem said, you want to go to war against me? It take you 500 years to get to the bottom, 500 light years to get to the bottom of my chair. To the bottom of my chair. Another 500 years to get to the next level of the chair. Another 500 years to get to the next level of the chair. Meaning, you could live thousands of years and you still won't even get to my chair. You want to fight me? So for that, he turned him into an animal for 7 years. He was the king of the world. You want to act like an animal? At the very least, do it in your own private home. Don't go to such an extent of going to war with Hashem in public. No one needs to know what you do. No one needs to know what you do. Because the reality of it is, how proud are you of what you're doing anyway? Because if your father was like you, you wouldn't be here. If your father was a homosexual, you wouldn't be here. So enough with this public desecration of Hashem Yitbarach, and even more so, enough of rabbis trying to appease them. There's only one Torah, it never changed, it hasn't changed, it never will change.
I've heard enough. New arrival screams, echoing through the hallway to know that this ain't good. Once they pass them through the infierno, they don't come back. It's enough to make you go crazy.
Do not think we fear you, Spirit. We know your power is born of evil. This is your last night in the land of the living. You understand me, malevolent demon?
There was a rich family that lived here called the Hetheringtons, and unfortunately, their daughter passed away of a heart attack inside the house. Basically, they were so devastated that they reached out to people claiming to be psychic mediums. They actually weren't psychic mediums. They opened up a total of 11 portals inside this house and invited spirits and entities from all different kinds of dimensions.
Well, I think there are certain pieces of evidence that there is an afterlife.
Resurrection of the dead is affirmed pretty clearly in the Talmud and the Midrash.
To be honest with you, to give this lecture is a nightmare. If it was up to me, I wouldn't. There's going to be some graphic details.
This place is a maze.
That person after death went to a place called Sheol.
This is by far the largest near-death experience study that has ever been conducted.
People go to a place and they experience weird things. And sometimes they actually will see a character of some type. Well, where did that come from?
I don't know why that one chain is swinging back there.
They may describe feeling profoundly peaceful, seeing a bright, warm, welcoming light. Some people describe watching doctors and nurses working on them with incredible accuracy.
Next thing I knew, I was above my body watching the operation.
How long did you feel like you were gone?
I went to a place of timelessness. And so what that means, it could have been a second, could have been 5 minutes. I don't know.
Can you imagine waking up from your sleep and not being able to move?
As I'm lying there, I realized that there's an evil presence next to me.
Do you believe that angels, demons exist?
Holy shit, dude, get out of here! Oh my god, dude!
Strange things keep happening, bizarre nightmares, as if I'm on fire. Whoa, what the hell is this? Man, I've got bad chest pain.
Satan's Hollow is what it's called, the portal to hell.
Some people calling it an eye of fire, while others said it looked like the portal to hell opening up.
And the next thing I know, I was outside of my body, looking at my body.
What I'm going to do is called claromancy, the art of throwing lots or throwing bones.
2,000 years of experience, passed down, recorded, of how demons work.
God has them all on a leash, and he lets the leash go enough to let them tempt us, because that's what makes us spiritually stronger.
I'm trying to be as graphic as possible so you understand what we're talking about.
It's your ticket to reality. It's your ticket to freedom. It's your ticket to immortality.
Is there an afterlife? Is there a
It's
God?
the type of information that can keep you away from the Yetzirah.
What happens to us after we die?